Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to No Bullshit with Kyle and Kelly. And I neglected to put a title on this. I'm just realizing.
And you almost didn't even tag me in it, so you're on a roll.
Yeah, I'm on a roll already. I'm still recovering from a cold that kicked my ass all week. So this should be amazing.
I think we can put, and it's very, you definitely should have put a title because this is a very specific video.
Oh, I wonder if I can edit it now. Hold on.
I know you can edit it later. Oh, God.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll fix that after. But the title, well, DARE is what we're discussing. We recently went to my daughter's 5th grade DARE graduation, which sort of prompted this topic for us. There were some things that we liked that we saw and some things that we just sort of kind of gave each other this look.
Oh, my God.
During.
I had a tough time.
Yeah. That happened.
But I'll give it credit because we did some research afterwards.
We did.
And it made a little more sense afterwards, but still.
At the time, it was a little confusing.
Yeah, we'll get to
creepy.
it. We'll get to it a little bit later. But
Creepy.
they essentially did not mention drugs once, which is, I believe, what the D stands for. Am I wrong?
I thought.
I've read drug abuse resistance. Even the joke, drugs are really excellent.
Real.
I don't want to get into. We could do terrible acronyms.
Go there.
Acronyms are fun.
They are okay, but this is serious. These are our kids, and we want to make sure that they don't use in the future. And
I'm a product of the DARE program, and I became a hardcore addict.
It works out beautifully.
I've had a problem with DARE for a very long time.
Yeah.
Like I never. I don't remember. It happened in 5th grade. Apparently, they still do it in 5th grade. Now, from their website, according to them, they also do a secondary one in 7th grade, which is more focused on drugs. The 5th grade one seems to be focused on cigarettes and alcohol, which is important. But cigarette use is dropped tremendously in the last 10, 15 years anyway.
But I'd like to know if anyone local's watching. Do we do this in 7th grade here?
Yeah,
I'm wondering that.
It says that they do it on the website, but that was also.
I don't know if that's actually being implemented.
It's not in every school all the time anyway, so it's not always in 5th grade every school. It's really up to the school to implement the program along with the police station in their area. So I'm not blaming the children, nor am I blaming the police officers or the people who try it, because
they're trying something.
It was, yeah, they were trying.
Why don't you talk about the origin of DARE? I think that's interesting.
So it started in 1983. It went along with the Just Say No program.
It was some Los Angeles police officers. Correct?
Yeah. Like they're trying.
Bravo for them for taking a step.
However, it took them a very long time. What is it? 2009. So that's.
Hi, Liz.
It took them to 26 years. Hi, Liz.
We forgot to title this. It's about DARE.
Yeah, you can just look at my shirt. Stare at my chest. I'm an object.
Oh God.
It took them 26 years to finally admit that it was a problem or that there was a failure.
26 years. Let's let that resonate for a minute. 26 years.
We are in the middle of a full-blown epidemic. Like, that's not even like, it's not an exaggeration. That is 100% what it is. And it took them that long to realize that their program, although it's not just the program. It shouldn't be up to just the program to try to stop drug use. Like, it's really up to the individuals.
Is really important, and this is what we're using primarily in a lot of schools as the only.
So the first program, like I said, cigarette use has dropped. The original program, they found out that the only thing that it did reduce was smoking, but alcohol and marijuana use increased. Like, it just didn't. Nobody touched it because once you get to high school, let's be honest, those are the number one, number two things that people do. Like, it's just the real world. Like, it's Just Say No.
I actually researched that.
They do it now. They did, but from 1983, this was the 80s and 90s. Though that was when you could still smoke cigarettes in restaurants and everything, or even into the early 2000s.
Yeah, I remember. Smoking or non?
Yeah, my first job was
this close to the non.
Yeah, as if like there was a magic barrier beyond that little area.
Yeah.
My first job was at a restaurant, and we had smoking. I had to clean up the ashtrays. But
yeah, you know what, Liz? We're gonna get into that a little bit. Liz is saying it was an introduction.
It was. That's my point, because I remember thinking, I don't remember much about the DARE program. I especially don't remember learning not to do drugs. I remember thinking, what are drugs? Wait, like, if they told me you can't bring glue into school because you could sniff it. Oh, you can sniff this stuff? Like, okay, I'll just do that at home. Like, what's...
So, inadvertently, they were actually telling kids about some things that perhaps they wouldn't have discovered otherwise, but it's just such a fine line between education and introduction.
It is, and that's also the thing.
The age thing.
So it was just the one program in 5th grade. I don't remember how long it was back when I did.
Right now it's 10 weeks.
Right now it's 10 weeks. Yeah.
In my daughter's school, 10 weeks.
So
10 weeks. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, but it's just such a small window of time for 10-year-olds to try to grasp such a serious thing. Like. And
they stated that the instructor speaks for about 8 minutes of the class. Now I believe this was a weekly class, so they're getting 8 minutes. Now the reasoning for that was so that the kids aren't just listening to lectures because they're going to lose interest, and I completely agree with that. So they were. What are you doing?
I'm messing everything up.
You're ruining everything. So the kids are more hands-on and interactive, which I'm all about.
Yeah, the rest of the class they spend practicing real-world scenarios.
Minutes for 10 weeks, once a week. I'm not convinced that's going to keep my child from doing drugs.
No, and especially, I mean, like we said earlier, apparently they're doing it in 7th grade also. I don't know what they're skipping 6th grade for. I think you should just keep doing it.
Well, why are they skipping kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade?
That's a little too young in my opinion.
We had a little disagreement on this.
Even 5th grade to me is too young.
Well, why don't we talk about the new curriculum?
Okay, yeah.
Let's start with the old and
well, we talked a little bit about the old.
What about the new?
If you go to dare.org, they'll straight up admit that it was a failure. Like it's been proven. Like science and studies. I can show you 100% that it was a failure. Like I said, you can look out the window. Bullshit. Look out the window. It's a goddamn epidemic. There's a reason why we both carry Narcan everywhere we go. Like it's not a joke. It's not a joke. So it took them that long to realize that it's a failure. So, but to their credit, they did some scientific studies. I forget the names of the people. You can look it up on dare.org. It's right on the front page. I have some stuff here. I just jotted down some notes. But they went and did some studies, and now.
Well, describe the new curriculum.
I'm getting to it. I'm preambling. So now their program in the 5th grade one is it's called the REAL program, which is an acronym for what is it? It's an acronym for. Hold on. Refuse, explain, avoid, and leave. So they're giving them, like I said, like when they they know that it's gonna happen in the real world. Like they're aware that this is going to happen. It's not something you can just say no to, because otherwise we wouldn't be where we're at. I agree, Liz. Especially when you're 5th grade. It needs to keep going. Even if that's the earliest they do it.
I think it should start sooner, but we'll argue about that.
I remember more about 4th grade for some reason, talking about drugs in health class than I do the actual DARE program in 5th grade. I don't know why.
Ava, I'm seeing you on here.
Nice
Screw
hat.
you, I like my hat. Did you get DARE in 7th grade? I can't remember.
Yeah, because she's a little younger than me, so she might have. This happened. They implemented the new program in 2009. So in 5th grade, according to their website, in 5th grade they do the refuse, explain, avoid, leave, which they introduce real-world scenarios. They have the kids practice it out, which in my opinion, when you get little kids together in groups like that, they're
kind of goofing around.
Exactly. That's exactly what I did as a kid. Like they're just going to goof around. So
you did not have 7th grade as well. That's what I thought. I don't think that happens here either.
I don't know if it's going to or it should. I think they should just keep doing it up until maybe early high school, to be honest with you, because even the kids might not take you seriously, but you're going to reach somebody, like a couple, because I don't know what went wrong with me, honestly. I was very straight edge for a very long time, but once I started
That's a good question.
Wonder what corporations spend money put into DARE. You know what?
Where does DARE money come from? I'm not sure we figured that out, but that's a very good question. We're going to look into that further.
I don't know if it's school funded or state funded or through it's just a volunteer program. I'm pretty sure that the police officers who do it at the school volunteer, but they're also getting paid taxes through our taxes.
Somebody painted that huge DARE logo on that fucking car.
Southington paid for that. Southington paid for that, I'm sure. If it involves the police, that's just tax money.
That's a very good point. I always like to follow the money. So.
But the 7th grade program, is apparently they didn't get into specifics of the 7th grade program, but apparently it's more into the actual drugs, which is good because that's when I started. That's when I started doing drugs, like smoking weed and.
Why aren't we telling them before you start doing drugs about it?
That's the thing.
My problem.
If you're gonna why they skimmed over they had a couple kids in the 5th grade class get up and read their reports, and I think they did 3 or 4 of them.
They had 4.
Every single one was essentially the same thing. Yeah, but everyone was essentially the same thing, where they learned that cigarettes contain 200 plus harmful ingredients. You can learn that from watching a Truth commercial in 5 seconds. And like I said, a lot of my friends, like by the time I got to high school and afterwards, a lot of my friends didn't really smoke. I didn't smoke cigarettes. I smoked.
It was really big in my era, but I'm older.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like kind of like a generational thing. Like my parents smoked when I was a kid. Smoking was just a natural thing. But we had an ashtray in the living room. Now people got to go outside and smoke. So it's a little more like shunned. Like people go, oh, you smoke, it's gross, because it does smell gross. It is gross.
It's gross.
It's a disgusting habit, but it's a legal way for people to get their nicotine. It's it's a legal drug. Nicotine, it's a drug. Like, so I'll give them credit. They are talking about drugs and alcohol. Alcohol is a terrible thing. Like alcoholism is a very serious problem.
Jonathan. Yeah, you're right. Now it's a regular police car. Here anyways, it just has this.
Yeah, it has a big logo, just right across the side, and a big logo on the front. Like, so they must only.
So you know that guy's not pulling you over, probably.
Yeah, they only use that one. I guarantee you, they only use that truck for the 10-week class when he drives to the school. And I don't know if they're going to all the schools in the town. Do you know?
Yeah, I believe that.
Probably, yeah. But if they're gonna do one, they're gonna do all. But they.
Okay, so let's talk about what we liked and didn't like about the program, because there were some things that we did like about the new program. Not the old one, the new one.
Yes. So they did a study. This is what the study that they did in order to implement the new program. Like it's science based, which is my thing. Statistics and science is the best way to try to tackle anything.
These studies were questionable at best.
They were. It's a small study group.
A handful of studies were done, and I quote.
But all right, so.
But we'll go. Okay, we'll see.
The studies by Hecht. I forget the guy's first name. It's Hecht, and Miller Day she's the one who tried to implement this new program. She's the one who got it going.
Good for you, because it is better.
Yeah. So they did the largest study they did in 2003. 6,000 students filled out questionnaires of their use of alcohol, tobacco, and marijuana.
How old were these students?
Over a 2-year period. It did not say. But these were students that went through the DARE program though. Like they had already completed it. And
okay, so we don't know the age. They already are missing vital information.
But they sampled less than the control group of the new program, the real program. So that's another kind of red flag. You can make statistics go any way you want, honestly. So
yeah.
So a subset of that control group was 1,300 students using drugs showed a reduced drug use rate that was 72% higher than the control group, which is only 1,300 students compared to the 6,000 students. So you can look. I said I'm just throwing numbers at you right now. I mean, you can go to dare.org.
With and I'm a data girl as well, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, these are not.
You need to do a nationwide study if you're going to try to do anything.
This is not enough.
You know what I think? Every time I see studies like this, I go, when did they ask me? Like, I don't remember filling this stuff out. Like.
Yeah, why aren't you asking
60% of anybody, blah, blah, blah. Like, I was part of the DARE program. I was in 1996.
2003 is when they started the new program?
No, 2003 is when they did that study. 2009 is when they started the new program.
Okay, so really,
I was in, so they started in 1983. I did it in 1996, 97, which is prime era for them to realize that shit was going wrong. This is after the crack epidemic. Into the early heroin epidemic, very early. This is more like the pill time, like when the pill mills were going on in Ohio and Florida, and then they cut that off, and now we have heroin. So I think that should have been. Yeah, I think that honestly, I'm a little bit biased, but heroin should really be a big focus about this whole thing because these kids are going
pills. I'm sorry, pills should be because that is generally the stepping stone. Am I wrong?
It is, but pills aren't around as much anymore. I'm telling you, you can't find pills unless you look for them. Unless you get prescribed them.
And that
I'm telling you, when I first started doing
a lot of places still.
When I first started doing drugs, it was pills because pills were everywhere. It was Percocets, or Oxycontins. When they stopped making the Oxycontins, then it was Opanas. They stopped making the Opanas, then it was heroin. And now heroin is everywhere. It's cheaper, it's stronger, and it is everywhere.
But in
now
fifth grade, they're talking about
tobacco and
smoking
cigarettes.
and alcohol.
When these kids have to know about it.
But
like,
these kids are on ADHD meds that my daughter at 13 took a whole bottle in 2 days. Why aren't we talking about those things?
yeah, the legal drugs are really where it starts.
They're teaching them. I took some notes while we were there, and one of the big things that stuck out to me was hearing some of the.
Yeah, Jonathan, do that.
They were talking about They were reading their what the hell? What word am I looking for here?
I don't know. You seemed like
they were reading their essays.
You got hung up on essays.
Yeah, I really did. Shut up. They were reading their essays, and they were discussing. God, I lost my train of thought. Hold on.
You got to look at your notes,
Hold
bro.
on, I am.
That's what notes are for. They kept discussing the same things over and over again. But the teachers were cautiously optimistic about the children learning like real world abilities. That's what they kept kind of trying to push, was being prepared for the real world. But the real world right now is opiates.
It's fucking ugly, and
it's
I'm
opiates,
sorry,
and
but
it's literally anything, really. Once you open that door, like people talk about marijuana being the gateway drug, it's actually alcohol, 100%, because it's legal and it's not going to go down that road. But you need to be prepared for that kind of stuff. It doesn't matter like what it is or what you're telling these kids. When you get into a social situation and you have that, it's not necessarily peer pressure, but it's pressure you put on yourself more than anything. Nobody ever peer pressured me into doing stuff, but you have that social pressure to fit in regardless. So
especially if you're someone who has underlying social anxiety or something like
that.
I
did 100%.
Exactly. I did as well. And
I still do.
I was lonely. I moved around a lot in high school. I was not in a stable situation. So for me, the only way for me to make friends was to hang around with people that were using. And I'm lucky I didn't get sucked into the lifestyle, but I'm not going to say I never did a drug when I was a teenager. That would be a bullshit fucking line. No bullshit here. But I mean, these are the things that need to be addressed. I think they're doing it too late, because by 7th grade, let's especially focus on that. I mean, the percentages of kids that have already tried an illegal substance are through the freaking roof. So why the hell are we waiting till they're already doing them?
Yeah, but that's with the DARE program already in place. Like, kids are learning about drugs and they get interested in it, and like, especially if you're just telling them it's the forbidden fruit kind of thing. Like, you tell someone not to do something.
I think even before that, though, like especially in the urban cities, by
kids
sixth grade,
are idiots,
fifth grade,
dude.
these kids are already using because it's in their homes already. It's in a lot of homes already. They've been raised around it. I had friends in high school that had been raised around drugs. That's all they ever knew. I mean, how is that helping?
I didn't, and I
however,
still
neither did Ava. And however, if you start when these kids are very young and they're still sponges,
they don't take it seriously.
It's gonna sink in. I really feel like it's gonna sink in more with.
I'm not saying it shouldn't get done.
The new model, the decision making, consequences, those sort of things should be being taught at a much younger age. Not necessarily the drugs, and this is where people get scared and they don't want the education for their young kids because they think someone's going to come in and be showing their little 5-year-olds crack pipes. That is not how it goes. That's not
an episode of South Park where he passes around the marijuana and then it disappears.
I don't watch a lot of that, but
oh, it's an old one. Drugs are bad. Okay, like that's not how it works. Cam. My name is not Cam. No, but that's one of the episodes. The very first episode where the drugs are bad.
What are we gonna fucking do is bring crack pipes into school. We're gonna teach your little ones.
He brought in marijuana and he's like, "Oh, pass it around to the class," really? And then they pass it around.
The whole episode.
No, just that one part. He passes it around and then he doesn't get it back. And that was 4th grade. Those kids were in 4th grade.
Exactly. My point. Thank you. That is my point.
You're gonna go with your point on South Park.
But that's what you were arguing with me about.
Because those aren't real kids. Those are adults playing kids. I'm telling you, kids are idiots.
I'm aware of that.
Kids are dumb. Especially in groups.
Kids are not dumb.
In groups,
kids
they are.
Kids are not dumb at all.
They don't take that kind of stuff seriously. I'm not saying not to do it. I'm saying if you're gonna do it,
teach them the fucking coping skills when they're little, and they're gonna learn it.
you have to keep doing it. You can't just have 1 year. Of
I
anything
agree with
regardless.
that 1,000%. I will agree with you.
I think
on
fifth
that
grade is a great time to
1,000%.
start it.
I disagree with that. I think it needs to start sooner. I think it needs to be an all-year thing, and it needs to be more than 8 minutes of a teacher or a police officer. They're not even teachers. They're not even teachers doing this.
Yeah, at least team up with the health teacher. Because I remember, like I said, in 4th grade, I had my health teacher was teaching us about class, but I just learned how to spell marijuana, and that's really all I learned.
If you're not an educational professional, how do you know what age groups are going to be? Turn off your goddamn phone.
Fuck off. You're sitting with your phone in your hand.
It's not going off. If you're not, I was looking at my notes. If you're not a professional, you don't know what ages, what's age appropriate for that particular group. I mean,
I'm telling you,
that's
as a kid,
part of the problem here, and it's great to have the officers
did the program,
there.
We did not take it seriously. And
but littler ones would.
Why?
Because they're
less mentally developed. Why would they take it seriously?
Because they're sponges. They take everything.
They're sponges that are distracted by a goddamn light in the corner.
Kids are more apt to learn languages when they're like 2 and 3 than they are when they're in 5th grade. I mean, this is when we should be teaching these things, when they're still sponges.
But that's all right. You know what? I'm gonna make a parallel right now that's gonna kind of be divisive. I'm gonna agree with you on one point, because the younger you start teaching someone something, the more apt they are.
Don't touch a hot fucking stove or you'll get burned.
No, I'm going with religion, because when kids are when kids are taught religion at an early age, they believe it, and then they keep going on and on then.
Okay, so why are we not teaching them about drugs?
That's what I just realized. Like, you got a good point. Like, if you teach these kids, if you tell them something is true, like Santa Claus, you tell them something is true early on.
Yes.
But it doesn't always work, because kids are smart. Like, kids are just, they start asking questions.
It's not going to work for every kid, but how many fucking 6-year-olds believe in Santa?
Honestly, I'm speaking in terms of like the mass groups, but if it does help,
I am as well.
No, if it does help 1 or 2 or even a small percentage of kids, then by all means it should be done. But it definitely needs to keep going beyond what they're doing. Like, the new program, they didn't put any statistics. Like, it's still too early for 2009. It really is
too early.
It's not even 10 years.
It's definitely better. I have to say, though,
I'm interested to see the 7th grade one, though, what they actually talk about.
Just the creepiness of the whole, like, graduation. I don't understand. How do you graduate from something like that? Shouldn't this be an ongoing process? I mean, it's like, here, kid, here's your certificate. Graduation you're never going to do drugs.
No, graduation implies that you,
you're done.
Was there someone who didn't graduate the program, or they just, it's a participation trophy?
Okay, which I fucking hate those, but that's a whole other thing.
That's the older generation started.
But I don't like that whole, like, here, you have a certificate, like, you're finished. That's it. I don't know. I don't like
we're missing a shitload of comments.
Oh, we totally are. Okay, sorry.
The thing stops scrolling on us, like.
It'll start off scrolling and then stop.
Exactly. Oh, Liz put us up a good point. Kids now, a lot of kids are being raised by their grandparents now. And
a lot of kids are being exposed to this in their homes every
This is why it's an epidemic.
Day.
And it needs to be. All right, you know what?
I like Karen's point as well. Kids also trust and don't question as much as the older children. And I've worked a lot with children, probably more so than Kyle, because
I don't like kids. I'm speaking. I like my nephews. I love my nephews.
You like Al.
I do. I like your kids. But I'm just speaking from my experience with the DARE program. I didn't take it seriously, but maybe that's because I was too old. By the time I was in 5th grade,
you were already a smart ass little shit by then.
I was, and I met my best friend in 5th grade, and we didn't take anything seriously. Like, we were just going off of each other.
But the littler kids will be quieter and listen, and they'll like that interactive stuff. And there's just so many different ways you can teach that, real program to very young children in a way that they'll understand it. So I think it's too late by 5th grade.
And then you'd have a better understanding.
I think it's too late by 5th grade.
You'd have a better understanding of what works by the next year, because you should keep doing it every year.
Because my daughter's already been exposed to drugs, and so for her to do this DARE thing was kind of a joke. I mean, she was telling me.
I guarantee you Ellen knows more about drugs.
Yeah, she said that. She goes, they didn't even talk about drugs at all. Why didn't we talk about how it almost kills people and how people go to jail. And you know, she couldn't understand why they weren't discussing more about it. But I mean, she's been exposed.
According to the new program, though, that's what they're supposed to be doing. They're talking about cigarettes and alcohol. Like, but still, you gotta.
It's a her. I mean, she looked at
heroin brush on
addict. That's freaking nothing. I mean,
especially like back to Liz's point, like a lot of kids these days, this is killing so many people. It's
we have to try everything.
I've seen
10 fucking weeks.
I've seen so many
is
articles.
What we're dedicating to trying to prevent this from happening for future generations. Think about that for a second. 10 fucking weeks to try to help save a new generation. There's no way that's fucking.
We're already losing the generation.
There's no way. That point is not even debatable, in my opinion. Not even debatable. Ella recently took a math test, it was a math test. It showed how much information she had lost over the summer.
Yeah, Jonathan.
She had only retained
I don't want to get into that.
About 30% of what she learned last year in math, okay? 30%. So that much information was lost just over a summer. So we're doing a 10-week program, maybe if you're lucky, twice in 5th grade and 7th grade. How much of that are they even going to retain only having it that period of time?
I'm just going through a little bit more of the comments that we missed.
But no. Kyle got a Dare shirt, so I mean,
I got a Dare
ceremony shirt. Was where they really wanted it.
That's the thing. Like the last Dare shirt that I had, this is how seriously I took the program. I remember in my early 20s, I found a Dare shirt at the Salvation Army, and that shirt, if you saw me wearing that shirt, that meant I was high as a motherfucker. Like I was on mushrooms, or like I wasn't doing heroin at the time because I just wasn't around. I think I was doing like Percocet.
Well, Karen, if it's not complete, if it's not repeated, they do lose it though.
Yeah, it's one thing. Like they'll absorb it, but like I said, it's like. I
mean, she only retained 30% of what she was taught last year in math, and just over a summer she lost that much.
That happens all the time. That's why that's summer vacation is a kind of a slippery thing. Like there's a lot of studies that show that you should do.
Really,
they should do the class. They should do school all year round with just more vacations in between.
I agree with that.
Which 100% makes sense. You need to also start school later with no homework. Check out, I think it's Sweden or whatever. They have like the best education in the world.
California did away with homework as well.
Well, California's on fire right now.
We're phasing it out here, but that's a whole nother.
California, they got their own thing going on.
But Liz, the way they're doing it now is not necessarily, like you said, they're not like bringing in crack pipes. It is a shame that they need this education, but what they're really focusing on is better decision-making skills,
real-world
consequences, natural consequences to actions. I mean, these are coping skills that if you don't have them, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. And even if you do become addicted, having those skills, like I found with my daughter, having those skills already ingrained in her, because of the way she was raised, helped a lot in her recovery. So at the very least, it didn't prevent her from becoming an addict, but it helped her in recovery. So those skills are vital regardless.
They also need to
not a waste of time.
They need to let them know. This is why I also think it should be on later, because you should let them know that if you do start doing drugs and something goes wrong or whatever, you can still get help afterwards. Like a lot of addicts, especially myself, like I can tell you early on, like years ago, before I found out that there were support groups online and stuff, it's such a lonely, miserable existence, and you have such a shame put on you, and that's why a lot of people are dying, because they have the shame of their family and friends and strangers on the internet telling them they deserve to die.
So if we raise our children a little differently, to perhaps have empathy and
not even. I mean, empathy is not a taught thing. Empathy is something people have. I mean, you can't teach empathy.
I believe if it's being modeled in your home.
Yeah, but that's not something you can. That's on.
Not everyone is able to learn that, but that is something that if you're modeling it, I believe that your children will pick up on it unless they have.
Well, back to what I was saying before I was interrupted. I forgot what I was going to say.
Is that what you sound like in your head?
No. Oh, you know exactly what I think.
Okay, do my voice in
your
head.
I'll do it in a minute. But,
all right.
So, like I said, like the people who do become addicted, it's such a shameful existence. they need to be taught early on that if it does happen to you, there are options now. Like it's becoming more prevalent. People know about it now. Don't listen to motherfuckers on the internet, because people might, all right, if you come clean with your family, they might get upset, they might get mad, but you have a chance to be alive. At least you're alive. They would much rather be putting you through a detox than going to a funeral. It's
All right, but we're getting off the dare topic.
no, it's all relative. I'm talking like you need to teach these kids like that if it does happen to you, there are options. Like it's not the end of the world. Like these people aren't. I grew up. The people you see on TV that are addicts and all this other stuff, those aren't the addicts that you deal with in real life. It's the fucking urban kids next door. It's me.
It's your dad.
It's your daughter. It's everybody. It doesn't matter. This shit does not discriminate, and that needs to be taught. I never learned that in Dare or
no,
school
in Dare,
or anything. Nobody taught me. Like
it was this weird guy in an alley.
Yeah, exactly. You just like,
hey kids, want some drugs? Like who gives out fucking drugs?
Yeah, not enough people.
Kyle's like, I'm looking for those guys in the alley.
Exactly.
I never found them.
It's not. And then the people that you end up losing your real friends, and the people you meet aren't your friends. They're yeah, exactly, Liz. Anything's better than dead. Like at least you have the chance. Like you can make more friends, and if your family doesn't understand, that sucks. But
totally, Karen.
But you're alive. Like and in my own experience, like the perspective that you get afterwards is such like the one thing I can credit addiction for is it's infinitely humbling. Like I don't know, but like there's so much more. I feel like they need, like if the Dare program really wants to utilize this program that's going on, they need to continue later, and then they also need to get in touch with the addiction community itself, because the advocates are really doing more than the government is right now, and like their voices need, my voice, her voice, we need to be heard and teach these kids also, because if I went up in front of that class, like they wouldn't, like I'm not your stereotypical drug addict. Like you wouldn't look at me like, oh, that guy was definitely on drugs. Like I was.
I'm just joking. What was I gonna say? I'm so out today.
That's it.
I'm still getting over this head cold. Shit, it was good too. I don't know.
Just assume she said something very enlightening and amazing, and it changed all your minds.
Hold on. Maybe I'll remember. It might have been to a comment.
Yeah. See, Liz is making some great points.
Liz is awesome. I love you, Liz. Yeah, I don't know. So I think we need to be doing this younger, but
You know what?
It was the parents that don't want their kids, having people bringing crack pipes and shit. I have to say, I didn't have the option to shelter my daughter from addiction. It was here. It was in our home. It was in our everyday lives. I don't regret it, and I think she learned lessons that she will keep with her forever, because she was at that really influential.
Sorry.
If you touch your phone again, I'm throwing it out the window.
I forget that the video is like already on play, so every time I try to.
No bullshit going out the window. But anyways, if I had no option.
You're going out the window afterwards.
We've been bickering all day. It's been a long day. I didn't have the option to shelter her, okay? I think a lot of the lessons she learned seeing her sister in addiction are sticking with her, and I don't see that kid being easily swayed. I really don't. And I saw those tendencies with my daughter, my oldest, but my little one, I mean, that shit stuck with her. So maybe we need that shock factor.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to let them stay innocent as long as possible, but you want them to live. I mean, what's more important? Again, like you teach them not to touch hot things when they're babies. I mean, these are.
But the best way to learn is to touch it.
Burn you. It's not going to kill you. I mean.
The best way to learn is to touch it.
Fuck, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Or watch somebody else touch it.
So, well, yeah. I mean, hopefully.
Which everybody in that analogy, there are thousands of people touching it and dropping dead.
Yeah.
And if you don't let people know, especially little kids, that this is happening.
I don't think the shock factor is a bad thing.
Oh no, that's something.
I think we need to scare the shit out of them. Perhaps the older kids. Start with the little ones with this program that they're doing now, the much younger ones, and then gradually increase it and They should be fucking scared. This is life or death. I mean, let's be real. This is fucking scary. Scare them. Scare them. I don't know.
I agree.
Well, we've been, rambling for a while here.
It's because it's...
I don't know. There were things we liked and didn't like. I'm
like the idea of
curious
it.
to see the actual real studies for the new program. But my only issue...
Hopefully it doesn't take 26 years for them to...
My biggest issue is just
Figure it
that
out.
I feel like it's not being done soon enough. That's my biggest issue with it. But overall, it was okay. I found the whole ceremony creepy. I'm not gonna lie.
I was extremely
It
uncomfortable.
was really weird. But other than that, I mean, the kids were happy. They got their shirt. Kyle was really happy.
Because I haven't had my Dare shirt in a long
He
time.
lost it. Hi.
Probably. I don't know why I would
So
never get rid of that
sad,
shirt
But I mean,
willingly.
that was like, it was that much of a joke back then.
100%. Like I said, if I showed up to a party or anywhere wearing that shirt, it was just like, oh, Kyle's fucked up again.
Fucked up, yeah. All right, so I don't know. We'll have to see what the jury brings
And
in
there-
on this one.
there was this girl one time.
Please don't.
She was just like, why are you wearing that shirt if you're high? And I was just staring at her, just like, what?
Drooling.
It's just I forget. I think I was
Yeah,
on
like-
mushrooms at the
like
time. Just
drooling.
like irony, and then I just walked away. Like, it was funny at the time. Like, what are you?
All right.
Stupid.
Yeah.
Stupid.
I think we're done.
Yeah.
We're done. All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Don't do drugs.
Don't you dare do drugs.
Just say
No
no.
bullshit.
Just
Don't you
say
dare.
no.
And walk away.
Just say no.
They're still teaching that, by the way. Just walk away.
Well, that's what the real thing is at the beginning. Refuse, explain, avoid. Well, the last option is leave. I'll give them credit. You can explain, but in my opinion, or in my experience, just real quick towards the end, I never dealt with a whole lot of peer pressure. If someone didn't want to do drugs, it's like, all right, cool, whatever. Like I'm sure it does happen.
I did to an extent.
But it's more of self peer pressure. It's more of just worrying what other people think versus what you think. Oh, I want to fit in.
So we need to be teaching our children self-esteem is a big thing. I mean,
that was one of the main that was one of the main
if they
reasons
have
I
that
did drugs.
self-esteem and they're not lonely, they're not going to go seeking out these things. We also need to be addressing mental health issues at an earlier age and having them diagnosed properly and not waiting a fucking year for a psychiatrist
Not
appointment.
just
That's a
throwing
whole
Ritalin
nother
at them.
problem. Yeah, let's stop doing that. Let's stop giving our kids legal meth.
I don't want to go down that road.
All right. Yeah, we should end this. Have a good night, everybody.
Don't do
Anything
it.
else?
Don't do it. Don't listen to her. It's not peer pressure. You can do whatever you want. Have a terrible night if you want. Don't do that though.
Have a good night.
Have a swell night.
I dare you to.